high school. That civilization started with the Greeks, you know, and therefore they have Greek letter organizations, and we canonize the Greeks, you know, in our curriculum. But we had civilizations thousands of years before Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle showed up on the planet, or even before there were Greeks in Greece. I mean, we had dynastic periods in Egypt or in the Nile Valley, in Ethiopia, and the area that we know today as the Sudan. And our people know nothing about that. And then when most of our students are of Christian faith, and when they read the Old Testament, they need to realize that they're reading our history. Because they're talking about the Ethiopians, they're talking about the Egyptians and the Babylonians. That's our history. And we need to be able to interpret that, you know, from that standpoint, you know, to show the historical and cultural link with our spirituality and our religion.
Now, and do you believe that at historical black colleges there's sort of reluctance on the part of those individuals who are in administrative positions to bring about this knowledge and to create a situation for this knowledge?
Black administrators fear a black planet. They view the world the same way that white people do. They think like white people and act like white people and have anxiety about the white ruling class. So they are dysfunctional in terms of being able to help us because they're so timid about pleasing white overseers. And so I think they need to come out of that. I mean, you know, Martin Luther King came through and he took the fear out of most of us, but that fear still lingers in some of us. Those of us that were in the ghettos in the community, Malcolm X came along and took the fear out of us. So we shouldn't be afraid now of white power. We should be able to affirm our own existence, affirm our own culture. And that's what everybody else is doing, you know. But what we're doing now, we're still playing this 1950 game of race relations, rather than talking about affirming our heritage, affirming our culture, and speaking from our own center, speaking truth to power, and not being afraid to speak truth to power, organizing around our own values, our own norms, and creating a world in our own image, rather than trying to be a carbon copy or imitation of somebody else's society. You know?
Over the last 50 seconds that we have, Doctor, what would you say to young people today to become involved in trying to acquire this cultural knowledge that you're talking about?
Well, I say that they should go and purchase as many books as they can afford about their history and culture. And when you go to their homes, they probably have more CDs than they have books about their history and culture. So every time you buy a CD, buy a book about your history and culture. So then you could look at the history, look at the culture, start studying African languages, start, in other words, you got to start thinking black in order to be black. Black is not just something you get by accident.
Very good. And of course, let me thank you, Dr. AAl-Hadid, for bringing that excellent information, and I think that this is the capstone of a series that we're certainly encouraged in having. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.